You all saw yesterday that the welcome improvement to our short-term position won't make all of our structural spending pressures go away. The NDIS and interest costs remain the most prominent of the big five you're all aware of, which also includes health and defence and aged care. But those two fastest growing areas are also now the most prominent areas of improvement and progress. Our commitment to banking revenue upgrades means we'll have $300 billion less debt, saving us around $83 billion of interest costs by the end of the medium term. And while the commitments of the Prime Minister and the states on the NDIS will secure its future and reduce payments growth, this, combined with some modest but meaningful tax changes to improve our revenue base, all of this has contributed significantly to a marked decline in the structural deficit by the end of the medium term. Now, the restraint that characterises that fiscal strategy was also key to dealing with the inflationary challenge. Our budget is contractionary when inflation is at its highest this year, the result of our efforts to improve the fiscal position by around $125 billion over 2 years since coming to government. And this represents a turnaround of around 3.6 percentage points of GDP in 22-23, a 1.8 percentage point turnaround in the next as well. All this means that our fiscal position is clearly not working against the Reserve Bank. And this budget's focus on inflation went beyond our fiscal strategy and right to the heart of the carefully calibrated cost of living relief that we chose to deliver. There's been a lot of focus in the last 12 or 15 hours or so on whether this package adds to inflation. So let me make a few things really clear. One, of the total spending we announced for next year, more than a quarter of the net impact relates to keeping existing government programs going and extending pandemic support. Two, in total, the targeted relief that we're delivering in 23-24 costs around 0.1% of GDP. And three, it's been designed to provide effective, meaningful relief to households throughout the year, not in one big hit. For all these reasons, the Treasury advice to us was that none of what we're doing here will have a counterproductive impact. What's more, our targeted interventions in those areas where price pressures are most acute will directly take the pressure off inflation by some 3/4 of a percentage point next year. And that means inflation will be lower in 2023-24 than what we forecast in October. Still higher than we'd like and still more persistent than is ideal, but down from what we would have been and making a meaningful difference to families and others around the country as a consequence. So inflation was central to our thinking in how we went about providing relief to households, in the execution of our fiscal strategy, but also in how we thought about growth. Our goal here has always been to engage on the supply side of the economy by investing in people, in productivity and participation, and in the biggest single opportunity of this defining decade, the energy transformation in particular. And you saw last night that the additional $4 billion we dedicated to the energy transformation brought this government's investment in the industrial and economic opportunities of cleaner and cheaper energy to $40 billion, making it a central focus of our growth strategy.